What if I told you that the King of all kings, the root of David, King David himself, said that the original Bible was not in the Old and New Testament format? Therefore, characters that you thought died thousands of years ago are currently here today during the time of Revelation. For all Bibles are translated out of the Ethiopian original tongues, which was written in Ge'ez over 1,200 years before the Geneva and the KJV version. But instead of people looking to Ethiopia for the answers, they rather argue over the translator's version. So let's read. After many days, you will be given attention in the final part of the years. Basically, at the end of Revelation, you will come to the land in the mountains of Israel in Ethiopia. And who is coming? A military force from Russia, also known as Gog. And according to the Ethiopian Bible, it will happen after many days thou shalt be visited in the latter years. That's basically the same as saying during Revelation. Therefore, Sheba is a modern day character. Well, anyway, let's read. Our emperor speaks with a Bible in his hand. I have the highest respect for the Bible as a whole. Therefore, the Bible should not be cut into portions. Therefore, it should not be in the Old and New Testament format. But because they did that, it's creating confusion. So let's listen.
Most people that I know who are Christians and lovers of the Bible, lovers of Jesus, know nothing about a man by the name of Eusebius. Eusebius was a man who in 325 was Constantine's Karl Rove. He organized the Nicene Council and literally determined what books were going to go into the Bible.
Let me just say something for a view.
What books were going into the Roman version of the Bible?
Who might not have heard or understood what you just said.
Yes.
Said he was Constantine's Karl Rove.
Yes, indeed.
Karl Rove is a quintessential dirty tricks guy.
Yes, indeed.
For the Bush administration and sort of the hard-wing conservative Republicans.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, what we understand very clearly is that every people have a right to interpret their relationship to the Creator as seen through their own cultural lens. But what Constantine did was to use this newly created religion, Christianity.
It was new in Rome. It started in Ethiopia. That's why Ethiopia has the oldest, most complete version of the Bible. Why? Because they wrote the Bible. Then at the Council of Nicaea, they decided which of these Ethiopian books they want in or out of their version of Christianity, or Catholicism, as they call
As a
it.
means to not only control people physically, but also to control their minds. And it was Eusebius who called together, I believe, 88 bishops.
So if he's calling together 88 bishops as a newly religion, of course there had to have been Christianity, had to have existed before this council.
In Nicaea, in Turkey, and they literally determined the shape and tenor of the Bible.
Of their version of the Bible. They didn't create the Bible. They created their version of the Bible. So what did they do? Jesus was never mentioned in any Roman source, and there's no archaeological evidence that Jesus ever existed. Even Christian sources are problematic. Why? Because Jesus wasn't here 2,000 years ago. And Haile Selassie already said that the Bible should not be cut into portions. So the characters you thought died thousands of years ago are currently here today. And if you don't know, Solomon is Moses. Because Solomon says the same words as Moses, for they're the same person.
So how did Solomon say it in his language before it was translated into English? In Hebrew it reads, Hiko mabitatem fi kullu zakudin Muhammadim bazamurai bayna Yahushalam. These are the words of Moses in the language of Hebrew. Which
You get it? Solomon speaks the words of Moses because they're the same person. And do you know that Menelik is not mentioned in the Bible? Why? Because he wasn't here 3,000 years ago. So it's impossible that Menelik, son of Queen of Sheba, stole the ark. There is no evidence of Menelik in the Bible. Why? Because Solomon wasn't here. Solomon wasn't here 3,000 years ago. King Solomon was buried in a huge tomb in the Atlas Mountains. Yeah, right. That's according to somebody less than 200 years ago. But according to them, he's buried in Jerusalem. So according to biblical account of King David was buried in the city of David, his tomb was also used for the burial of King Solomon. What? So both they're saying basically David and Solomon is there, but it's also saying Solomon is in the mountains. So what are they saying about his son Menelik? The body of Solomon's eldest son was hidden somewhere in a crater in the top of Kilimanjaro. In other words, he wasn't here, y'all just making it up. And y'all following the Kebra Negus, which is not a real story. Kebra Negus of the Queen of Sheba and her son is not regarded as inspired by God. It was not included in the Bible. Why? Because it has nothing to do with the Bible. Somebody just wrote a story. And because of that story, they want to erase over 3,000 years of Ethiopian monarchy. Because as you can clearly see, the monarchy in Ethiopia started over 6,486 years ago. It didn't start when supposedly Solomon had a kid with Sheba. That don't make no sense. Why? Because it's supposed to be the dynasty of Moses and Sheba. And it's also supposed to be the Solomonic dynasty with Sheba. Why? Because Sheba is supposed to be with both Moses and Solomon. Therefore, Moses is Solomon. So the question is, it is impossible that Menelik stole the ark because he can't be with Moses and Solomon at the same time, 600 years apart. That doesn't make no sense. That's why Selassie said this.
You are descended, Your Imperial Majesty, from King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba.
Notice the Canadian reporter is telling him that he's a descendant of Solomon and Sheba. And how could he be if Sheba and Solomon are supposed to be here now during the times of Revelation in the latter years? And Sheba couldn't live over 600 years to be with both Moses and Sheba. She's supposed to be here now in the latter years. And both Moses and Solomon are the same person.
This is just our story, ancient story.
It's just our story, an ancient story. In other words, it's not based on facts. It's basically a story that was written over 1,000 years after the Ethiopian original tongues was done in 323 Common Era.
And became regent. He became emperor on November 2nd, 1930, and was crowned Haile Selassie I, King of Kings, King of Zion, conquering lion of the seed of Judah.
He got to conquer the seeds of Judah because Judaism has been lying. So they keep spreading rumors and saying that his son died 3,400 years ago and the same son died 3,000 years ago. And at the same time, they're trying to erase the monarchy of Ethiopia to limit it to approximately 3,000 years ago when Rome started. So they're trying to make it seem like Ethiopia started a monarchy 25 years before Romulus founded Rome. So they're doing a lot of stuff just to erase the history of Ethiopia.
Power of the Trinity.
But he's still the power of the Trinity, because the Trinity is basically Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It is not Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. It's people basically changing around the stories. For example,
Africa gave Yeshua to the Jews. Africa gave Yeshua to the Europeans. Africa is a direct progenitor, the mentor, the teacher of what we have now come to call Christianity today in its adulterated form.
So
the
why,
founder.
So why when Christianity is brought back to Africa, we have to stop acknowledging our ancestors, we have to change certain practice that reduces our cultural and ethical values? Why did it come with this package that doesn't resonate with being black or being African?
Your language is
because they're trying to change the story and hide from themselves. But at the end of the day, only people like this can understand.
Enoch's grandfather told him that Melchizedek was an Ethiopian. Enoch comes from the Melka family, and the term Melk in Ge'ez means image. Enoch has explained to me that Telsem is essentially another word for deep wisdom and knowledge of nature, the universe, and its inner workings. For the student of Telsem, there are 5 basic areas of study: word, number, image, vine, and color, and the 13-month Ethiopian zodiacal calendar. Importantly, Enoch's grandfather, Alekka Yihun Kasa, always told Enoch that the wisdom of Telsem can never be grasped by someone of impure heart and a closed mind. Understanding Telsem requires integrity of character, humility, kindness and love, honesty, hard work, and respect for all life.
Respect for all life. So why are people arguing over the translator's version when your translators are the ones who did this?
The Church of England once owned a sugar plantation on Barbados that profited it about £5 million a year in today's money. They purchased slaves from West Africa and subjected them to inhuman treatment, including having the word society branded on their chests with a hot iron to show that they were the property of the church. The further shocking news that has just emerged is that a previous Archbishop of Canterbury actually chaired the meetings approving the purchase of more slaves for the plantation. They were needed because so many had died as a result of their inhuman treatment. The church also enslaved children as workers too. The wealth the church enjoys today and its ownership of vast parts of the land and real estate of England and its prestige is because of this shameful blood money from the past. The Catholic Church and many of the popes were no better, abusing the innocent and forcing them into slavery.
Understand, that's why we need Moses in the time of these. So what does it say about God, his Father? God has again hidden his face from mankind, save for the selected few, especially more since the reported death and disappearance of his Imperial Majesty in 1975. According to them, he died 3 times because they had 3 funerals for him. They put someone in a grave that was weighing size 9.5 when he in fact wore size 7.5. In other words, the person was taller, but they wanted people to believe that that was him dead. So how many people you know had 3 funerals? So then my anger shall be kindled against them in that day, and I will forsake them, and I will hide my face from them, and they shall be devoured, and many evils and troubles shall befall them, so that they will say in that day, are these not evils came upon us? Are not these evils came upon us because our God is not among us? And I will surely hide my face in that day for all the evils which they shall have wrought, in that they are turned on to other gods. Haile Selassie is not dead, as various sources confirms. He is clearly alive, and his son is alive too, and his grandson is also alive. So we need to wake up. Jagai.
Out of a black queen, I you up your daughter. Made a servant out of a master builder. Judgment of death, can't tell to the traitor. Stroke the fire and the yabba. While down the idol in the harbor, your kingdom of place. With Melchizedek aura, roll and Manchester. Rock out to the music of the priesthood of the high priest.